In my work with our UU congregation, and also in my work as a professor of religion, I'm often in conversations with people who explain their desire to do something positive toward the world. And these conversations almost always jump to world problems at their biggest scale. But if that conversation gets to a real place, and if someone is really asking, I always have an answer that's ready to go for how to impact the world positively. Because there is a very simple, straightforward answer that is impactful 100% of the time. You can, as an adult, get to know some youth who are not your family. Something that educational researchers and social scientists have discovered over the past 20 years is that having a non-parental adult in one's life plays a huge role in impacting a young person. In fact, it plays such a unique role that, personally, I am convinced that it's one of the most important things we can do with our time. And that's convenient because there are oodles of unsolvable, gigantic problems. And while I'm skeptical that we can solve them by putting our minds to the problems at hand, I believe a lot that the best way forward is to prepare people for a better and more self-actualized future. And that's what connecting with young people does. That's why it matters so much. Some of the impacts are obvious, like if you're a sports coach or if you're some kind of a teacher, obviously there are important skills that you're going to communicate, and those are valuable in themselves. So of course that matters. But the other impacts that come from an adult non-parent having a relationship with a student, they might surprise you. First, a relationship with a non-parental adult has a huge impact on helping achieve what social scientists refer to as identity resolution. To be young is to be figuring yourself out. And for important reasons, our parents are fixed points in our lives that we bounce ourselves against when we're young. So having a non-parent adult around, it allows us to figure out who we are because we realize that there is more than one way to be. So just being present in the life of a young person helps to model how we can feel confident in who we are. Second, these relationships help young people develop new coping strategies that allow them to mature socially. So knowing an adult who is willing to talk to you and hear from you, who isn't there to parent you, it helps you conjure some new resources for navigating the world. Because in that moment, you can see it happening in someone else. So in a sense, it's like you now know that you can have relationships that aren't based on rules and obligations and following orders like parental relationships often include. Finally, these kinds of relationships foster a sense of self-esteem that's a big part of fitting into the world. To spend time with an adult who doesn't have to be in your company is a way that helps young people start to regard themselves as individuals. These are relationships that allow us to care and regard ourselves as worthy and valuable, which then helps us have a healthy regard for ourselves. The better world we hope for will come to be when the people who make it up have benefited from all of these experiences. A better world is made by people who are confident in who they are, who are able to cope with uncertainty and anxiety, and by people who have a healthy love and care for themselves. So if you want to impact the world in a positive way, this is an important way to do it. It's not storming the Bastille, it's not marching on Washington, but it's every bit as important. And if that matters to you, if you want to engage this world in a way to make it better, bringing young people and adults together to create community is what we are all about in RE at UUCC.